Hi everyone, it's Becky here, back with another mini mono tangle for you today. It's been a little while since I posted one of these, so hopefully you will enjoy me being back and doing another little tangle for you. So today I'm going to keep things relatively simple. I'm going to be drawing a tangle called Bales, which is one of the first ones I learnt when I started doing Zentangle. So to do Bales, I'm going to, just to talk me through actually briefly what I've got here, I've got a Micron PN, I've got my Zentangle pencil, my tortillon, and this small sort of 2" by 2" square tile, which is self-cut from some Fabriano Tiepolo paper. You can use a bijou tile, it's just the same size, or any other paper if maybe you're doing it in a sketchbook or something, that's absolutely fine. So grab your materials and let's get going. So I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to begin by drawing myself some dots on a border, and I'm going to mark out a kind of a 3 by 3 square grid when I've done that. So, I mean, you can probably just go straight in with pen, but we'll stick with the dots on a border with the pencil for this particular tangle. So there's my border. I've got my pen here. I'm going to dive straight in, and I'm going to just restate this pencil line that I've drawn. I'm using a Micron PN today, but you can use whatever pen works for you. Microns are obviously kind of recommended for Zentangle, but you can use whatever you fancy. So there's my inked in, or my restated square, my border. I'm then going to just sort of roughly, with my pen, just put some dots roughly where I think this line is kind of divided into thirds, and it's not going to be perfect, but that's not a problem. Just eyeballing where I think the thirds would be, and on each side of my borderline, and then I'm going to join those lines together. So just nice and slow, taking my time to draw myself this grid. You'll see this one, I mean, it didn't exactly hit that dot, but once we do all of our other bits in here, it won't notice. The main thing is that we end up with our grid on whatever tile we're using or whatever space we're filling in. And so the next step with Bales is, once we've got our grid, now this is obviously a standard square grid, but you could do it as any kind of grid really. It could be a slightly different shape grid, a crazy grid, or whatever. I think you could even do this with an irregular grid, triangular, or anything really. But the first thing we're going to do is if you think about Bales as a fragment, a single fragment of this would look much like this. So you would join basically each corner with an arced line. So just once you've had a go at this first sort of fragment aspect of this tangle, you can then go ahead and fill in the rest of them in whatever way works best for you. So that is the kind of basic shape that we're aiming for with Bales. And then once you've done that, or if you want to go straight ahead and do it, you can just repeat the strokes in whatever way feels comfortable for you. So as an example, I'll just fill in all of the different strokes along one of my grid lines. So this one here, I'll then do this one. And I just find this is nicer for my hand. Just filling each shape. It flows nicely by doing it this way, rather than having to constantly twizzle around your tile. So that's that. I'll turn my tile and do these lines that are now horizontal. And the nice thing about Bales, I mean, you can keep it very simple, or you can kind of start to add additional kind of aura sections, or tethered auras on these little arcs that we're drawing. But what's really fun, I think about Bales is that you can see how these single fragment for Bales will start to create a meta pattern, and you can see these circles that start to form. So just by drawing these repetitive curved lines in your grid, you're sort of creating these hidden circles, which is really fun. go. So I'm just following along these lines, turning my tile to keep my hand in the most comfortable position. Just letting these lines flow. There we go. And so that, have I missed any? I don't think I have. That is your basic Bales. Now, one of the things I like to do, and actually what I learned, this is one of the first tangles that I was taught by my mum when she was with us. She was a CCT who sadly passed away a number of years ago, and this is one of the first ones I learnt with her. And when I learnt this tangle with her, we added in just a dot to the centre of Bales for a bit of interest. But obviously, you know, as you tangle more, or, you know, if you're already a familiar a sort of more experienced tangler, you might already like to have different embellishments you like to add to your tangling, but this is just a little thing, a little extra embellishment that you can add. So there is the basic kind of Bales, and you can see how this circle starts to appear if you start to look at it slightly differently. I'm going to cap my pen and pick up my graphite pencil and then start to shade. So my favourite thing to do with Bales is just to add a spot of graphite with my pencil. You can see I'm holding it on its side here, and it's nice and sharp, but I'm using the side of the lead. I'm just adding a little bit of graphite where these kind of, all these lines converge. So just nice and gently popping in this graphite. And this is where having a sharp pencil is helpful, because we are using this to create gradiated or graduated shades of grey. Having a pencil that's sharp but not used pressed down into the paper is good, because you're using the side of the pencil and it sort of softens the way that the graphite goes onto the paper. So I've just added a little drop of shading to each of these little intersections here. I'm going to pick up my tortillon, my paper stump, and I'm then just going to gently go over these graphite areas that I've added and just soften that graphite, bringing it slightly further into the centre of the lines, just softening gently. And it really starts to transform, graphite and shading does always start to transform the way that a tile or a tangle looks, but I think this is a particular one where you can really see the difference that it starts to make. So I'm just gently going over that graphite that I've placed and softening any of the harsh edges. And the more you can kind of manipulate the graphite towards the whiter areas in a softer way, the more it's going to give you the illusion of depth. You do need to make sure, as always, that we don't cover all of the white areas in the graphite, because it will look a lot flatter. You'll lose the contrast and the highlights and the shadows. So that's the basic shading for Bales. But one of the other things I like to do, and actually I'm just going to do with the residual graphite that's on my tortillon, is just to add a little nudge of graphite next to one of each of these little spots, just to kind of make it look like they're standing out slightly. Like so. And there is Bales for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you did. I post these sorts of mini lessons quite often, as well as other different content as well. So do like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.